All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be talking about the next episode of House of the Dragon, season 2, episode 4, the Red Dragon and the Gold. So this was a pretty wild episode. I think if you've been watching House of the Dragon, this is what we've all been waiting on, right? I mean, the Dance of the Dragons. I don't know. So say you're not a book reader, you might not know it's called the Dance of the Dragons. Although I feel like they've talked about it a couple times in the show. Um, but the title in Fire and Blood of this section is the Dance of the Dragons, and it's all about uh, the Targaryens fighting each other with their dragons, and we are. I guess you could say we got into it a little bit of last season with what was it, Lucerys and Vagar. And Aemond is just keeping up his streak of. I guess he's really been the only dragon rider who's taken out anybody else, and this man has taken down Lucerys. Okay, spoilers. Spoilers. We're going into spoilers for the episode. Obviously, I don't know why you would click on one of these if you don't want spoilers for the episodes. Um, but Aemon also took out uh, Aegon this episode, and he also took out Rhaenys, which I don't want to spoil anything. I obviously know what's going on, but I'm only going to talk about it as we have so far in the show right now. But there were a lot of fake outs here at the end of this episode. There were at least like three times where it cut to black, and it was like, "Is that the end of the episode?" And you're like, "Please don't be the end of the episode. Please go on." And it did, luckily, keep going on. Um, we got a pretty good ending. Honestly, this is I'm totally starting out of order, but I got to talk about the most interesting thing first. I got to talk about this, and then we'll get to the rest of the episode. Um, but this is the first episode where I've kind of like felt for Crispy McChicken. Whenever he went up to Aegon at the very end of the episode, and Sunfire's just laying there, absolutely, I guess dead. I mean, not dead, but maybe dead. I don't know. Sunfire is fucked up. Aegon is fucked up. And Crispy McChicken is just there, like, damn, I failed. And as the Kingsguard, yeah, you messed this up pretty badly. Now, I'm not gonna say it's directly yours and Eamon's fault because it's really mostly Eamon's fault. But yeah, Sir Crispy McChicken, you certainly had a part to play in this. Um, but I don't know. Because honestly, Kristen Cole, Sir Crispy McChicken has had a pretty good. He had a pretty good strategy coming into this episode. They were marching. They took down. What was it, Duskendale? Uh, let me go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning and work our way up. But I just wanted to talk about the dragon fight at the beginning because it was awesome. That was the best stuff we've got so far of this show. The whole battle sequence was fantastic. I don't think the beginning of the episode was as good as the end of the episode, but kind of like those older Game of Thrones episodes, you kind of start out the first half of the episode doing unrelated, and then the last half is the battle episode. It's the last half is the battle. That's pretty much how it was here, like format wise. Um, but we actually started out with so Damon was seeing more visions in Harrenhal, and he ends up cutting off Rhaenyra's head, which uh, probably not a good sign for their relationship. But he's having some weird dreams. He's trying to get the dreams out of his head. I don't know. And he also ends up talking to oh gosh, what's this dude's name? I wrote it down. I started writing things down. Maybe that'll make it these videos a little bit better. Oscar Tully. So he comes up on Oscar Tully, and he's like, "So, how's your grandpa doing?" And Oscar's like, "He's doing good. We're glad he's still alive." And and Dave is pretty much like, "Bro, you got to murder this guy. Like, I know you're like happy family, good times with the Tullys. You guys are fantastic people, but I need an army, and you can tell that army to go march with me. So go kill your grandpa, and let's get to work." But Oscar is like a literal child and has no idea the games that just showed up at his door. You know, Damon doesn't have time for bullshit. He definitely doesn't have time to like run a 12-year-old through everything we've got going on here. Well, and Oscar seemed like he's like a teenager, but he does not realize the stakes at play. And later on, Damon was also talking to oh gosh, one of the Blackwoods. And the Blackwoods were like, "Hey, we'll go ahead and declare for you," but you know, Damon's like, "Yeah, well, you're not really declaring for me. You just want a reason to fight the Brackens. So come on, it doesn't matter. We'll take anybody we can get." Um, Next up, Rainey's. We get Rainey's and Corliss's scene. Rainey's pretty much goes and meets Alan, Corliss's bastard. And specifically, while she's talking to him, she like looks at his face and says, "You know, your mom must have been so beautiful." So they're really rubbing in the fact that they're really rubbing in the fact that it's not Rainey's own child. But he's doing well for Corliss. And Rainey's doesn't seem to hold that against Alan, but I don't know. Rainey's is just so weird. You know, like as a character, Catelyn. I saw that somebody come out kind of comparing Catelyn to Rainey's, and it's like, yeah, most moms probably would be a lot more like Catelyn. Like, nah, I get this fucking bastard out of my face, dog. Um, but Rainey's just takes it on the chin. You know, takes it like a champ. Um, she basically tells Corlys like, you know, you can't hide this man. You gotta, you know, he saved your life. He's your son. I know who he is. Just go ahead and treat him like you wanna like he should be treated. You know, and Rhaenys is probably the most understanding person in the whole show. She's been screwed over more than anybody else in the show. Although it all happens before really our time. But anyways, let's move on. That's not super important, but she does. I'm pretty sure tell. I don't know if she did this the last episode or this episode, but she told Corlys to make Alan his heir. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, we got Alicent. So they have Alicent drinking the moon tea. The Grand Maester brings her some moon tea, and so I guess Alicent has gotten pregnant, and she does not want Sir Crispy McChicken's baby. Her and Sir Crispy McChicken do not seem like they're on good terms, which we later find out a little bit more when Larys shows up, and he sees the moon tea, and he's like, "Oh, it's what are you doing with that?" And he immediately starts talking about, "Oh, you know, we should really pray for Sir Crispy McChicken. It would be a shame if something were to happen to him. Your sworn sword." Hilarious, dog. Stop torturing the lady. Um, but also, it seemed like Alicent is totally just done with everybody's shit. Now that she knows that she basically started this whole war based on complete rumors, and it's also just gotten completely out of her control. It's like, I wonder how responsible she feels for all this, because she's pretty much. I mean, Otto Hightower was going to do it anyway, but Alicent, I think, believes she had a pretty large hand in getting Aegon on the throne. So I mean, it's all kind of weighing on her, and she knows very much now that there is. I have no control over the situation. You know, Crispy McChicken's going to do whatever he wants to do. The son, her son Aegon, he's gonna do whatever he wants to do, and he is not even in the loop either. This man also has no control because Aegon. So let's just move on into the next scene because Aemond uh and Aegon are at the high council or at the small council meeting, and whenever they are at the small council, they start. Well, it starts out with Aemond saying, well, it actually starts out with Aegon saying, "I want Harrenhal," but Aemon's like, "No, they're gonna. Kristen and Cole's gonna charge on Rook's Rest. They're gonna take Rook's Rest, and it'll cut off Dragonstone from the rest of the mainland of Westeros." It's pretty sound strategy wise. And meanwhile, Aegon's just like, "But I want Harrenhal because it's a big castle." But Aemond knows as well as anybody that Harrenhal is completely useless, while Rook's Rest is a pretty. I mean, he explains it in the show. It's an easy target. It's a small castle, not well defended. It's on the coast, so it cuts off Rhaenyra from you know being able to just send dragons over without us at least being able to know where they're at. Um, so I see where he's coming from, but Aegon does not understand. He doesn't understand the politics of it. He doesn't understand the strategy behind it. He doesn't understand any of it. You know, he is the king, and that's another scene that Allison has with him. Is Allison's telling him like, "Do you think the king makes you just having a crown makes you wise?" Like, no. She ruled for a long time. She was wise. Otto was hand of the king for however many years. You know, he was wise, and a wise ruler listens to his wise advisors. Um, but that's getting away from the Aegon and Aemon scene because the most important part is when they're in the High Council meeting. But when they're in the High Council meeting, after Aemon kind of explains everything to Aegon, um, Aemon starts talking in High Valyrian, and he's like, he basically just starts talking shit on the king in front of everybody in High Valyrian. But nobody else at the table understands it. Aegon probably doesn't even understand. I don't know if Aegon can hear better than he can speak, but afterwards, when Aegon tried to speak back to Aemond, he just starts speaking in complete gibberish. Which once again, nobody else noticed that but Aemond. But it's certainly not a good look. And I'm wondering how much Aemond has been planning all this from the start. Because to be honest, he couldn't have predicted that Aegon would have went all the way down to Rook's Rest. But I think once he saw Aegon on his way to Rook's Rest, his decision was made. Because you saw which dragon he took out first. Once the battle got started, that man was not aiming for Rhaenys. That man was coming for Aegon. He is trying to get the crown off of Aegon and onto himself. And you know, rightfully so. That man would make a much better king than Aegon. He would. He knows what to do. He knows the power dynamics. Aegon doesn't get any of it. He doesn't get the game. He doesn't get the war. You know, he literally thought he could get on his dragon, march out to Rook's Rest, and win the battle. And unfortunately for him, Rhaenys showed up with a much bigger dragon, a much scarier dragon, a much more experienced dragon, and he's, you know, what has Aegon ever done on? Aegon was riding Sunfire, I believe. But what has Aegon ever even done on Sunfire? I mean, I can't think of the times we've ever even seen him, which, you know, we don't see every moment of their life in the show. Uh, but you can assume Rhaenys be riding Meleys all the time. I mean, you see in the show her riding Meleys all the time. That's happened at least 4 or 5 times in the show. I don't think we've ever even seen Aegon ride Sunfire until today. I might be wrong on that though. But anyways, Aegon decided to head down to King's Landing. I might have missed a couple of things. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, Sir Crispy McChicken heading to Rook Rest. Aegon argues with the small council. Larys, yeah, okay, so yeah, Aegon's headed down to Rook's Rest, and he gets there, and as soon as Crispy McChicken sees Aegon, he's like, "Yeah, you know, rallying the boys, like let's go, let's go." But he's also like, that's not the signal." And what is it, Gwaine? Allison's brother. She's like, "You all right?" He's like, "You sent the king. That was your master plan to send the king out." And just about that time is when Meleys shows up, and Crispy McChicken is like, "Yeah, we need to get Vagar here ASAP." Which I don't. I guess Aemon saw Sunfire come in, and he's like, "All right, I'm just gonna kind of see how this plays out." And as soon as he saw Meleys show up, he was like, "All right, it is time, pretty much, to make my move." And he immediately takes out Sunfire and Aegon. At first, Meleys and Sunfire were fighting, but that's when Vagar pulls up and just immediately burns them. Well, it just, you know, uses flames to just attack Meleys and Sunfire. But he's really going after Sunfire, and Sunfire is the one that goes down first. And honestly, I think Meleys had caught Sunfire by the wing, and that's when Vagar shoots the fire, and that's when Sunfire just goes crashing down into the forest. which I'm not. We didn't see him die on screen, so but we didn't see Rhaenys die on screen, and Rhaenys is dead. Rhaenys is for sure dead because she got absolutely squished. Uh, when Vagar sent her down into the castle. But speaking of Rhaegar or Vagar, um, dude, that dragon is massive. Like they show it side by side against Melee's when they're going in for a part of the fight. And he is probably 2 to 3 times the size. And even the scenes where you're like getting views of Vagar, every time the camera is not like way out, you can't see him all on screen. There's always parts of him that are just hanging off the screen. It's whether it's a wing over here or a tail over here, or his head's flying past the screen, and you're seeing the rest of his body. Like he's presented as so huge, you can't get him all on frame unless you back all the way out, and then you can finally see the whole dragon. Um, but I thought a really cool scene was when Vagar and Melee's got all twisted up and started shooting the fire at each other. There was one scene where kind of you could see the fire behind Rhaenys that I wasn't really a big fan of that part. But while like the two dragons were getting wrapped up in each other, and you see the fire coming out of both sides as they're like spinning down to the ground, and as Vagar hits the ground, he just crushes Greens under his foot. Because when dragons are fighting, it doesn't matter what's happening on the ground. If you're on the ground, you're getting murdered, dog. Like you are just straight up not having a good time. If there are dragons in the air, you better get out of Dodge because there's no safe place to be. And Vagar ends up getting the advantage on Melee's. Melee's actually could have got away. Rhaenys could have walked away. But after Sunfire went down, she thought about it, but she turned back around. And yeah, she had to defend Rook's Rest. So, you know, she couldn't really leave, but she could have left. She could have got the fuck out of there. But unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. And when she came back, she pretty much sealed her fate. Because Vagar ripped uh, Melee's oh, he like ripped his chest up and then he just grabs him by the neck. And dude, I don't really like the way Vagar killed Melee's, but mainly just because I didn't like the scene where Rhaenys was falling. I don't know. That felt a little cheesy to me, but other than that, dude, the whole fight was fantastic. The whole encounter, from the time Crispy McChicken got there, because they had planned for a dragon to show up. They knew Rhaenyra was going to send a dragon. That's why Vagar was just waiting there in the wings. And if Aegon knew his team strategy, if he had stopped to talk to Aemond and Crispy McChicken before just rushing into battle, he might have known that. But Aegon, being a terrible king that he is, which here's my thing about Aegon, I've really come to like Aegon the last few episodes. Like I know he's been a terrible king, but he should have never been put in that situation in the first place. Um, so it really and nothing's coming up Aegon, but everything's coming up Aemond. Everything is coming up Aemond, and we are gonna get the fallout next episode. And to be honest, I think the fallout's gonna be even more interesting than the battle. The battle was sick, but now the fallout. I mean, to me, what made Game of Thrones so good, like you'd have big moments, but like season one, the biggest moment is Ned getting his head chopped off. It's not a big battle type of thing, but that one moment has so many different repercussions throughout the whole rest of the series. It and the whole next episode after Ned gets his head chopped off is huge. It restructures the whole world. Like when Ned's alive, the world is one way. Ned's dead, the world is a completely new and different way. And I'm thinking that's how it's going to be this next episode. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the most excited I've been for House of the Dragon. I thought season one got better as it went on. It was pretty slow to start. Season two has also been pretty slow to start. After I thought we were gonna get kind of right into the war, but it's taken a few episodes to get into it. Rhaenyra had to just make sure that we for sure had to go to war, and now here we are. Um, but I'm loving where we're at. I can't wait for episode 5. I will be watching that tonight and letting y'all know what I think. Hopefully, I can get that review out a little bit earlier than this one. But and a lot of stuff going on this week. But I just want to say, yeah, fantastic episode. I love this episode of Hot D. Tonight is going to be a freaking crazy episode. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments about the start of the Dance of the Dragons. Are you Team Green, Team Black? Are you Team Aemon? Because Aemon's having a good week. Rhaenyra, not going so well for her. Aegon, I guess we'll find out his status next episode. But that's pretty much everything that happened in the episode this week. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you back in a few hours after the new episode of Hot D. I hope you guys all have a fantastic night, and yeah,